The first college football game of 2025 will be a playoff quarterfinal game between number 5 Texas and number 4 Arizona State at the Peach Bowl. And it's no surprise to see Texas in this position. This was a team that was one play away from playing for the national championship last year. But it is a surprise to see Arizona State in this position. A team that was projected to finish last in the Big 12 ended up winning the entire conference and earned themselves a first-round bye in this college football playoff. So will Texas win this game and continue their run towards a national title, or will Arizona State continue their magical run, pull off another upset, and find themselves in the playoff semifinals? That's what we're here to answer and talk about today. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. So glad you could join us to break down, again, this first game of 2025. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to our holiday special and our expert picks. Our holiday special giving you all of our college football bowl game spread picks, which are hitting over 60% right now, and all of our NFL spread picks through the rest of the year. That's all the way through the Super Bowl in February. So go sign up for those today. Very low price, long subscription, one of the best deals in the country that you'll find anywhere, and some of the best results as well. So let's jump into this one. I'm intrigued by this. A lot of people are picking Texas to win this game by a lot. Longhorns are nearly 2 touchdown favorites against the Sun Devils, but would not be surprised to see this game be relatively close, especially as we enter the fourth quarter. Take a look at a Texas team. How did we get here? Texas lost out in the SEC championship game, meaning they earned the 5 seed and had to play an opening round matchup at home against Clemson, which they promptly won 38-24. Got off to that slow start, and then everything else started clicking after that. Of course, as we mentioned, Arizona State won the Big 12 over Iowa State and then earned the last first-round bye. Got, some would say, snubbed for the 3 seed, ended up getting the 4 seed, but regardless, I'll take a first-round bye any day in the college football playoff. You go a little bit deeper here. We'll start breaking down the X's and O's, and we'll start on offense with Texas. This is a team that, in their last meeting against Clemson, put up nearly 500 yards of offense against the Tigers, 202 passing yards, 292 rushing yards on the day. They're averaging nearly 450 yards per game this season, over 275 passing yards per game, nearly 175 rushing yards per game. The thing for me for Texas kind of all revolves around their quarterback, Quinn Ewers, right? Some people are wanting Ewers to be benched for Arch Manning, and I wouldn't go that far yet, but Ewers definitely has to improve his play. He's thrown for over 2,800 yards, 26 touchdowns, but 10 interceptions. And if Texas wants to end up winning the entire college football playoff, wants to win a national title, he's going to have to cut down on his turnovers. He has 3 straight games with at least 1 interception. He's only thrown for 250 yards or more once in his last 5 games, and that was in the SEC championship against Georgia, where he also threw 2 costly interceptions. So how Quinn Ewers plays doesn't only determine if they beat Arizona State or not, but could determine how far they go in this playoff as a whole. You beat Arizona State, cool. If he plays poorly in the next round against Oregon or Ohio State, they're probably not going to win that game. So Quinn Ewers is kind of the X factor here. The quarterback's most important position on the field, most important player on the field, and he's got to find a way to make sure he improves his play. He's not playing horribly, but he's got to take better care of the football. He's got to find a way to get the ball to that elite core of wide receivers and start making big plays that we know he and this Texas offense are capable of. If he doesn't, if he struggles and the passing game doesn't continue to take off like it needs to, can the running game continue to play at such a high level like it has for about the last 6-7 games? This running game is very, very underrated. Their last game against Clemson, as we mentioned, nearly 300 rushing yards on the day. Jaden Blue had 146 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game alone. Texas, as a team, has rushed for at least 210 yards in 4 of their last 6 games. This running game really coming to life for the Longhorns. We've talked so much about the passing attack, and why wouldn't you when you've got those 2 quarterbacks on your roster and that wide receivers? But this running core, this running back core, this running game is dangerous for Texas, and that could be the X factor that leads them to a national title. Because again, their quarterback play isn't bad, it just needs to be improved. But the running game, if you can run the ball and dominate the line of scrimmage, you have a great chance to win every single game. And so for Texas, that's what they need to continue to do. Arizona State, meanwhile, they know a lot about running. They know how to run the football because they have one of the best running backs in the country in Cam Scatterbo. Over 1,500 yards, nearly 1,600 yards, and 19 touchdowns. The Sun Devils averaging nearly 200 rushing yards per game, while averaging nearly 225 passing yards per game, led by Sam Leavitt, who has thrown for over 2,600 yards and 24 touchdowns. So this is a pretty balanced offense, but obviously an offense that wants to run the ball. I mean, why wouldn't you when you've got one of the best running backs in the country? A team like Boise State and Ashley Genty, a team like Arizona State and Cam Scatterboot, arguably the two best running backs in the country this year, they're going to want to feed him the ball. Feed him the ball and let them go to work. And Scatterboot truly is unbelievable. One of the hardest, most physical runners I've ever seen. This team, though, has won 6 straight games to end the year. They got hot to end the year. 6 straight games. They scored at least 28 points in 5 of their final 6 games. And what impresses me the most about Arizona State, and a reason they could go on to win this game, is because they take phenomenal care of the football. The Sun Devils have committed just 8 turnovers all year long. Leavitt has only thrown 5 interceptions all year long. They have turned the ball over 8 times this year. That's an impressive number, an insane number. You play, 13 games and that's it? So that's going to be the key in this game. Continue to take great care of the football. Make sure Cam Scatterboot continues to eat. Make sure he continues to run the ball effectively. If you do that, you could set up a couple big chunk plays with Sam Leavitt. You run enough to set up the pass, and Arizona State could find themselves in a dogfight with Texas, could find themselves matching the Longhorns step for step offensively. That's what they're going to need to do, because if Cam Scatterboot goes down, if Cam Scatterboot gets shut down, can Sam Leavitt win the game solely by himself? He really hasn't had to do that at all this year because of how balanced his offense has been. If it becomes one-dimensional, can Leavitt deliver? That's the million-dollar question. The defense, that's where the game, I think, is going to truly be made. We know both these offenses can score. We know how good they are. Who gets the most stops? Texas has the number 3 ranked defense in the nation. They're allowing just 261.4 yards per game. They're giving up just 157 passing yards per game. That's second in the nation. And they're giving up just 104.5 rushing yards per game. That is 10th in the nation. They have held 6 of their 14 opponents to under 100 yards rushing. That includes their last game against Clemson, where they held the Tigers to just 76 yards. Granted, they were torched by Kay Klubnik, allowing 336 passing yards, so secondary a bit of a concern, but the rushing defense, very, very good. Very good. The most rushing yards Texas allowed all year was 197 rushing yards to Florida, and the Longhorns still won that game 49-17. They have forced 29 turnovers. They have 41 sacks on the year. They have a defense that could lead them into a national championship. We talk so much about their offense that we don't talk nearly enough about their defense. But again, their secondary, while ranked second in the nation, has had instances where they've been torched, namely last week against Clemson. They've got to find a way to make sure that doesn't happen again. But if I'm Texas more than anything, I'm stacking the box and taking my chances with that. I'm stacking the box to make sure Cam Scatterboot doesn't run all over me. So if you stop Cam Scatterboot, I'm saying, hey, Sam Leavitt, beat me. You alone beat me through the air. We do have the number 2 passing defense for a reason. Yeah, we had one really bad game against Clemson. We've had a couple throughout the year, but for the most part, we're pretty dang solid. So beat this secondary. We're going to take away your best offensive weapon and make him a non-factor. Can Sam Leavitt deliver by himself? That is the million-dollar question. And that would be the risk I'm willing to take if I'm Steve Sarkisian, is to sell out on the run and hope that your secondary has a much better game than they had the week prior against Clemson. If you do that, I think you're going to be in good shape, and I think you're going to win this game, and I think you're going to go on to the semifinals. But a lot of that is obviously easier said than done. Arizona State, on the other hand, they have a tall task of stopping this Texas team. They've got to stop Quinn Ewers. They've got to stop the running game that's rushed for at least 210 yards in 4 of their last 6 games. The Sun Devils are allowing just 333 yards per game. That's 33rd in the nation. 215 through the air, 117.8 on the ground. So pretty stout against the run. They've done a good job of holding their opponents to very low yardage on the ground. And that's the funny thing with Texas is, okay, let's say you bottle up that really hot run game. Their passing game isn't bad. It's just a matter of, can you now force them into mistakes? Quinn Ewers is not a bad quarterback. If he gets taken out or whatever, Arch Manning is not a bad quarterback. We're acting like, the Longhorns can't throw. They are more than capable of throwing. But you want to try to take away that run game and go after a quarterback that has been struggling a little bit. Again, 3 straight games with at least an interception. Only one 250-yard passing performance in the last 5 games. Arizona State's defense has held 5 of their last 6 opponents to under 24 points. They have forced 10 turnovers in their last 6 games. They forced 22 on the year. 10 turnovers in the last 6 games, which means 12 prior to that. So they're really getting hot. They're creating turnovers. They're converting off of those turnovers, and they're not allowing those opposing teams to get into the end zone. They are holding those teams, again, to 24 points or less in 5 of their last 6. That's pretty dang impressive. So what Arizona State has to do is win that turnover battle. They've got to win that turnover battle. You've got to get after Quinn Ewers. You've got to get in his head again. You've got to force an interception or two, and then you got to go convert. The defense has done that over the last half of the season. Ewers has been a little bit turnover prone over these last couple of weeks. If you do that and convert, this will be a close game well into the second half, and Arizona State could flirt with a massive, massive upset. But again, that's what they have to do, is stop the run and win the turnover battles. But then you got to do that when you are a massive underdog, nearly 2 touchdowns, as we mentioned. So, wrapping it up, the Peach Bowl, man. I'm excited for this. The first playoff game of the day. 3 games on New Year's Day. The first playoff game. The first football game of the new year on January 1st to kick off 2025. I'm ultimately going to go with Texas here. Texas is the best team that Arizona State has faced all year long. And many will say, well, what about Kansas State? What about BYU? What about Iowa State in the Big 12 championship game? And look, yes, those were all very solid teams. Every single one of those teams winning their bowl games over quality opponents. So credit to the Big 12 for getting the job done. But none of those teams match up well with Texas. None of those teams are the same as Texas. None of those teams have a defense like Texas, a running game like Texas, a quarterback like Quinn Ewers, or whoever wants to start for Texas in this game. This Texas team, once again, is the best that Arizona State has faced all year long, and I think it's going to show on New Year's Day. The Sun Devils hang around for a little bit. I can see this game kind of being similar to the opening round game against Clemson for Texas. Maybe they start off a little bit slow. It's a bit of a dogfight at first, but once the Longhorns settle in, they're going to force Arizona State into mistakes. I don't expect Cam Scatterbo to have a massive day on the ground. Texas ends up winning this game, I think, by at least 10 points, and the Longhorns will advance to the playoff semifinals for the second year in a row, and will await the winner of the highly anticipated Oregon-Ohio State Rose Bowl, that semifinal game. Whoever wins it and plays Texas, it's going to be absolute cinema, an absolute classic. And, of course, we'll have that prediction for you in the coming days. So, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and, of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to those expert picks, home to that holiday special, some of the best picks in the country for one of the lowest prices in the country. We're hitting over 60% of our bowl picks right now. We are fresh off an undefeated week in the NFL, so if you want to win big with us, this is the place for you. Again, thegridironexpert.com, link in the description below. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.